I haven't driven in a while. What do you want?
I was going, I know we're going to come up on the screen sometime soon. We're just waiting for that moment because I don't think we can talk on the stream. Maybe we can actually. Can we talk
with
on
the
the
video?
stream?
We cannot. With the banner, we can.
Ah, interesting.
Anyway.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
What is this about me pushing a button too quickly?
It's about dancing. It's at I'm always dancing during the music because it's a lot of fun. It's fun music. And I'm always worried. I'm never on camera when that happens. But I think like a couple weeks ago, I actually got caught like still bouncing around when the video ended. But that's okay.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Scott, introduce yourself and describe why we're missing somebody right now. Please.
Well, my name is Scott. I have a dog having a little difficulty over here.
Hello, Scott's dog.
Yes. I am Scott Stahl. In fact, I think somewhere around here, I don't know. We should
be a slate somewhere that says.
Yeah, where did they put it? That's interesting. Where did Simon? Oh man, Simon has made a mess. I'm gonna have to go through this and clean it all up.
Let's blame the Ebbs guy.
Of course, you always blame the person who's not here, right? Right. I don't. Oh, you know what it is? He put the do's and don'ts and the intro slides on a Google Drive. They're not here. So anyway, I'm Scott Stahl. I am a Flutter developer and community leader. I write code for Dev Angels London, and I am also a GDG organizer. Randall.
Hey, hi. I'm Randall Schwartz. I'm a full-time Flutter hacker and also one of the first group of Flutter Google developer experts, which means that Google has asked me a bunch of questions, and I answered at least most of them right. But what I do most of the time is I'm sitting on all the social media, all the channels, all the community channels relating to Dart and Flutter, and I'm answering questions for people. And it's an occupying job, but one that I do with great pride. I was up at 3 a.m. We're taping the show 9 a.m. my time. Where I was up at 3 a.m. answering stuff online on Discord. That's how addicted to this stuff I am. So. I also am the question manager. So if you put your questions in the channel with Q: in front of them, we will get to them as quickly as possible. Do not ask your question twice. If you do, you go to the bottom of the queue. We will definitely move you down.
The way this works is when we see a question, we hit a button. It puts it on the bottom of the list. If you ask the question again, we're going to check that one. And we're going to uncheck the first one, which is going to move you back to the bottom of the list.
Yeah, so don't do that.
And really not going to... We have been reminding people of that over and over. I think we should just not remind them and just keep moving them to the bottom of the list and let them wonder why they haven't been answered yet.
It's kind of nice to have at least a little motivation for
we've been nice for 3 years.
Because it takes work to actually do that. So I'd rather not have to do that. Also, this show is a limited time.
Yes.
And so we will have a cutoff to the questions at some point.
51
probably
minutes.
about halfway through the show.
We have a formula. We do have a formula. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, we do now.
We have 51 minutes. If the number of questions gets to be half the number of minutes left in the show, we cut it.
Yeah.
Because that gives us 2 minutes per question.
That's the only math I can do this early in the day. So that's probably it.
Also,
why don't we start? We have questions.
One quick second. Another reason that we have a hard stop, James has pretty much hit the nail on the head. This is why we have a hard stop. Okay, because I'm out of coffee. And this is a national emergency.
I have my tea, so I'm doing okay. Yes. A big pot of tea, needed that way sometimes. So yes. Oh, look, there's questions coming in. Yay. Are you going to do the do's and don'ts, or do we?
Well, I need to do the do's and don'ts from memory.
You can't find the slate?
Yes, yes. People are actually going to have to see my face while I do this. So
you want me to look for it?
no, it's in a Google Drive. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, it's in a Google Drive. Oh,
So yes, look, be decent, be respectful. This isn't Reddit. We have standards.
Yeah.
So, misogyny, bigotry, yada yada, we'll kick you out of here. When we kick you out of here, we do take note of your name. We hand your name off to the guys over at Discord. I search your name on the Flutter community Slack, and we get rid of you there. Basically, if you get stupid here, there's a really good chance that you're not going to be able to log into anywhere. So
yeah,
be dumb at your own risk.
and just be nice. Don't be commercially promoting your own stuff in the chat room.
Don't be saying I need a job. Don't be saying buy my junk. And also spamming the question. Yeah, James, you're a fun guy. This is his favorite part. If you keep repeating the same question, Randall and I have pretty much already said what happens. Then we just keep moving it to the bottom of the list, because every time you put up a question that says, I want to be at the bottom of the list. So if you were further up the line, then you lose that.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So moving on, another thing, Simon is at DroidCon London. So just to show you all a little bit of this, DroidCon London 22 is coming up. It starts tomorrow. Simon is in the middle of setup right now. And these are some of the talks that you will be able to see. Some fantastic speakers there. Lucas and Majid and Teresa, Pascal, Sally. Oh, man. So Sally's fantastic. Dom Rozowski. Oh my, I'm just looking down, Niels. There's so many people. Okay, and Majid and Pascal are doing 2 different talks. So really, these are all, I understand, I believe these are the Flutter talks, or an awful lot of them. There's a lot of Flutter here. Look, okay, what makes Flutter tick? Mastering Flutter Web, multiple packages in a mono repo, another world in Flutter, securing Flutter apps. I thought this was supposed to be DroidCon. Oh, but it is.
It is.
There's just an entire Flutter track. So
I like my response to the comment. There was a tweet about what are all these Flutter talks doing at DroidCon? And my response was, you kids and your hot reload. And that got retweeted a bunch. So yeah, it's what I do. Anyway, so we're
still trying to figure out how to define what he does. But
yeah, nobody knows. I don't even know.
All right. So David, is the event beginner friendly? DroidCon, absolutely. It is in London. It is friendly to all levels. If you're walking around there at the business center in London, you'll probably hear a lot of high level discussion. Just start engaging people and talking to them. They'll be more than happy to talk to you at a level you understand. So, yep. Now let's take a look here. One other thing I do want to say, we have to dumb down the level of questions to mere mortal. Simon has been doing this like 35 years. He's got a memory like a steel trap. It's really crazy, the stuff that he remembers about coding from 20 years ago. And he basically remembers almost everything he's ever written in the Flutter documentation. And I think he only has to read it once. Not kidding. Try working with the guy.
I, on the other hand, have a mind like a steel trap, but it's rusted shut.
I have a mind like a steel sieve. You put flour through it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Right. So
we will
answer some of your questions.
Yeah, we will answer what we can. But I mean, if you start throwing stuff about the intricacies of FFI, if you start asking very specific questions about how to do certain things with Firebase, we may or may not know. Integrating with GCP, we may or may not know. I do normally specialize in UI.
I do
but I will help out with whatever back end I can.
Yeah. I've done a lot of things with Flutter, but clearly I didn't have the intensity of Simon's full-time work for multiple years. I'm I just started last year full-time Flutter, so I still have a little short of the experience that he has. Anyway, so
All right,
we do have a
let's
few
get going
questions
here.
You be the question button pusher, and I'll be the star guy.
What's the lightest widget class to draw a custom shape? That would be Custom Painter.
And I asked the follow-up question. This person whose name I will not bother pronouncing. Sorry.
No, will not insult you by trying to pronounce your name.
Yeah,
how's that?
Exactly. Wants to do a list view with like 50 animated widgets. And I'm thinking,
Yeah, now I understand why you want to be light. Really, if you use paths and custom paint, that really shouldn't be that bad, because most of what's going to be going on there is math. And of course, computers are really good at math.
And be careful with render boundaries, with repaint boundaries. If you can be very careful with those, and saved canvases, you might be able to save some time with that too. Again, try it different ways. First, just try it, see if it's too slow. If it's too slow, then try something else. There's optimizations you can make, like render boundaries and saved canvases.
And those things you're going to have to look up.
Yeah,
and understand how they work. Repaint boundaries.
Repaint boundaries, sorry. Yes.
Repaint boundaries, canvases.
More caffeine.
The other thing, though, another thing with that is make sure you're running a good linter. Okay,
yes.
Something like Flutter lints is one of the best, and look for every single place it tells you something could potentially be constant.
Yes.
Okay, and use it.
And learn how to create widgets that also are constable.
Yeah.
Is that a word? I guess I made that word up, but it's different from the word meaning constable.
But I can tell you one thing to absolutely avoid if you're doing something like this: do not use containers. Yeah. Containers cannot be made constant. That is the only drawback. So you're going to want to use sized boxes, manually set up your paddings. Yeah, decorated box.
Yeah.
So what I often do is a size box with decorated box decoration inside of it, and then use that for your colors and all. You can use a clip path with things, but really you're going to want to be using a lot of Custom Painter and using calculations as much as you can, because those are going to be the most lightweight way to do what you're looking at, I do believe. So let's see here. Yeah, what is next? This would have been a great Simon question. He loves Go.
Yeah. Go. It's just another language.
Yeah, but I don't know what this toolkit is.
I don't know what Fyne is. No.
The one thing I can
Flutter?
tell
Probably
you is,
not.
hang on.
Okay.
Simon, wave if you can hear us.
Oh.
Okay, we need you for a question. We have Simon, we have Majid, and we have Nasher MDL from Stream.
Wow.
And who else is that behind them right now? I'm having trouble seeing. Okay, so Simon put themselves up on there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hey guys. I don't know that we have you mic'd yet.
We have technology to go all the way halfway around the world, so that this can also go around the world to them.
Hey, I've got noise.
Is it working? I did. Hey, look, I told you.
The noise canceling is cutting off too much, Simon.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can you hear us?
A bit. The noise canceling is making you choppy.
Yeah.
Well, sorry about that. But no, we can't stay. We're still trying to set up everything here. We've got all the stuff. And I just wanted to I was going to ask some questions, but we don't have time.
Well, so, do you think Fyne can top Flutter using Go?
So again,
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts.
Last time I was
imagine John's our first Humpday appearance is like across the ocean.
Right.
From across the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is just too slow.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You're not watching YouTube, are you?
No, everything's just really, really slow. We'll see you soon.
Whereabouts?
All right. Pop in
All right.
again if you can. Hi, John.
We'll see if we can sort something out over
Okay,
the.
well, hang on a quick second. On the left is Majiti Jan. He is the Flutter Viking. Next to him is Nashram Dial. He is the man who basically owns the entire Flutter community medium and has been the main editor of it for 4.5 years now, over 1,000 articles. Next to them is John Weiss. Wave hi, John. And John is
We can't really hear you.
oh shoot, John is the man who started with Flutter on foldable devices. It got picked up as a project by Microsoft.
Something, but I don't know what I shouldn't say.
That's all right.
The white won't go be loud.
And then there's Simon, of course, so you know he's
You don't know me.
insignificant.
Who am I?
Who are you? You're just the.
The white won't go louder. Right.
Right.
Well, anyway, nice to see you. Goodbye.
Thanks for dropping
Take it
in.
easy. Come back later.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what they're
All right.
doing right now.
Cool. That was fun. All right. So we're on our own. We're on our own even with this Go question. So
Oh, no.
sorry. I don't know about Fyne at all. And I
Yeah.
don't know a lot about Go, except I've played with it a little bit.
You
Installed
know,
it.
one of the
wanted to see
most
what it's like.
important things in teaching that I've found over the years is being able to look people right in the eye and saying, "I don't know."
Yeah, it's important.
You know, you don't
It's
you don't
important
want
to
to
know
have
what you know.
you don't want to have a
Yeah.
huge ego and try to claim you know everything. Now,
No.
if I had enough time, I could hunt down an answer, but so could you.
Yes, I know the odd numbered things. I'm just looking for somebody who knows the even numbered things, and then we'll really take off. Yes.
Yeah. Now we do have. Whoops! What happened there?
Oh, I don't know.
We
You're
have
pushing
another
buttons.
gentleman who's popped in to join us from Mexico City.
Ah, I have.
Hey, I'm not at Mexico City, but I'm in Mexico. So,
Oh,
Hi, guys.
okay. I thought you were in Mexico City. Oh no, you're in Hermosillo.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I meant it's still Mexico, so it's the same thing.
Well,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's okay because you're closer to the guys who live on the dirt roads and they sit out at the mailbox with a shovel.
Yeah. that's
For those,
that's the right
for
place.
yeah, really. For those who don't know, if you want good tequila in Mexico, what you
Yeah.
do is you go drive down a dirt road and you look for an old man sitting next to the mailbox with a shovel. You pay him money. He goes to a spot in the yard and digs up your bottle. And that's where you get the good tequila. Anyway,
It was
there was a question here somewhere, wasn't it? Where do you find good tequila?
No, I don't remember that question coming up. I didn't mark one like
It was
that.
an easy answer to the one you had before. So
The Go?
yeah.
Oh, about Go?
Give-
Cool.
Give him the Go
And,
question. Yes.
We have a gentleman here from Guadalajara.
Hey.
Yep.
Hello, block. Okay.
Bienvenidos.
Yes.
Yeah, the Go question. Let me hunt it down again.
No, I wasn't here watching you, and I thought to jump in. What I have noticed right now, there are many. I don't have any specific question because I actually have never heard about Fyne, but I know they have another one for Python on top of Flutter and Go on top of Flutter and anything on top of Flutter. So I think it is at the end of the day, what is worrying me is Dart and Flutter. They are being built to work together since the beginning, right? So you can attach yourself and trying to do something, but at the end of the day, that's my feeling. I have to. This is completely what I'm thinking. It's not about what Google say or things or whatever. It's only me or Health saying about this. Is performance could be an issue because they need to delegate more, right? If you notice, each time that you have upgrade your Flutter, is also update your Dart because they are tied together. So
mostly,
yeah. But so my question is, maybe you say, okay, I'm a Go developer. So the only thing you have in favor of that is you are more used to composition that other person that is not, right? But at the end of the day, if you know any programming-oriented object language, you know Dart. Basically, you catch it really quick. You can move to Dart and use it directly with all the information, documentation, a bunch of videos around the world with any content. So I say, yeah, maybe it could be good. I don't say it was going to be bad because I don't know. Fyne as already say the guy says in here, but you can move there and use Dart and have a lot of help, because if you have a specific issue with Go for a widget, you will have a really small portion of people that can help you. So one of the big things for Flutter is community. It is huge and is eager to help. So
incredible.
Yeah. So
I'll be able to get more help.
Yeah. So I can say that, not specifically about Fyne. I'm really sorry about to make you maybe anxious and happy to an answer. But it's more, if you have Flutter, use Dart. That's it's better, right?
Yeah.
And it's the history of Dart is rather interesting. Dart started out with web, trying to be a replacement for JavaScript. Then it kind of disappeared from the public, but it's always been used inside of Google.
Right.
Now it's coming out with Flutter. It's been coming out with Flutter for the past 4 or 5 years. And for a long time, that development was perfectly joined, as Ada has said. But also the past year and a half, there's been a big push for full stack Dart. So Dart is also now developing a lot of things that really don't have anything to do with Flutter. They have to do with servers. There's a plugin out there that does cloud functions.
Yep.
You know, there is so much in the back end. It's unbelievable. There is also Jasper is a very interesting offshoot from Flutter. It also uses Dart for creating Flutter Web. Definitely want to look that up. So, and I had a nice chat real quick with Michael Thompson, who is the manager over Dart. We were at Flutter Vikings, and basically he is willing to come on the show. We need to get him on the show, and he can help bring us up to speed with all of these other things Dart is doing. But there's so much that Flutter people are not seeing because they have to do with back-end Dart and full stack Dart. So imagine not only being able to write your code and have 90% reuse over 7 different platforms, but also being able to do your entire stack all in one language.
Right. And there's this question.
The vast majority of it anyway.
This question just popped up that we're talking about this anyway. Yes, you can write cloud functions with Dart.
Yes. At the moment, I believe it takes a plugin.
Right. So
there's a project for it. I don't believe that you can just straight up do it yet.
Yeah.
But I know that's definitely on some people's radar.
Definitely. So thanks for the question.
All right.
And we have others.
Is there a way to make tab bar view work without manually bounding its height if all of its children can determine their heights? In other words, can you make it shrink wrap perhaps? I have not really worked with a tab bar view, but I don't know if they have a fixed height. Let's see here.
Well, the ultimate answer to every layout question is use Boxy.
Use Google.
That's just, use Google to find out how to do it, but Boxy is this amazing toolkit that basically gives you programmatic control over sizing and layout. But it basically puts you with a manual transmission instead of an automatic transmission in terms of layout. And it's pretty scary, but it does solve those extra corner cases. Boxy package. It's in the.
Let me see here real quick.
It's in the pub. Are you Googling?
And tab bar view class.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
So there we go. Widget of the week. And we get down here into the class. It is a stateful widget. It apparently does not take a size as far as I can tell.
It uses probably preferred widget size, preferred tab app bar size, whatever the thing is.
Possibly.
No, maybe not. Oh no, it's this is the different place.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't remember.
I'm not quite sure what's going to happen there, unless it's if you can find a way to shrink wrap it, maybe.
It does whatever material.io explains that it does in terms of design principles. That's all I would ever know about these. Yeah, if I haven't actually used it myself, and I don't remember using it myself. So there we go.
Okay. What is the roadmap for Flutter Web? Well, there is this thing, Flutter Roadmap. I haven't looked in a while. Let's see here. This is, okay, this was apparently repeated by Codex, but it is the Flutter Complete Roadmap 2022.
Cool. That's
And
this year.
Go away. Okay, that's interesting. It says it's the roadmap. I don't think so. I do not think that means what you mean it means. Wait, Flutter. Okay, I really wish people would stop using the Flutter symbol on their personal websites. Not cool. I am trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember also what I know about the Flutter Web roadmap. The biggest thing that's coming up is Impeller, and they're working on Impeller. That would, of course, also shrink the size of the initial payload, which is a big complaint, and might make a few other things faster, like scrolling and a few other sort of weird cases where Flutter has to basically simulate everything that the browser did in order to make it work. Competing with React, I think you've got two different sets of goals or two different sets of optimizations. And I would venture that there'll always be a React and a React Native family. And Flutter has different goals, and it makes sense, I think, for a broader range of applications because of all the multiple platforms that Flutter is already on and working well in. And especially since it looks like they're adopting Fuchsia for all the Google home automation products. And that means that Flutter is continuing to get more and more external support for things that aren't just iOS and Android and desktops. So I'm looking forward to all that.
Okay. And as far as the roadmap goes, go ahead to the Flutter repo. And I've already put that link in the chat. And also, Heather was kind enough to supply us with a link to this one right here. Now, Miriam is the product manager for Flutter Web. So she is one of the big bosses. And here's their priorities, performance, et cetera, et cetera. And we will put that right there in the chat.
And I'd like to take that last question that just came in from Bush. No, I'm not going to pronounce it. The one on Flutter Web first loading. It's the very last one I just started. Yeah. Okay. Flutter Web first loading taking too much time because of the packages used? No. It's most of the payload, almost all the payload, in fact, is the fact that all of the Skia, either a translation library that is set up that use native widgets for the most part, and some canvas, or encoded it using WASM. It goes down one way or the other. Both of those are fact. And there's nothing you can do to make that smaller. That's just
to a point. But I mean, if it's, I've never noticed it being noticeable though. Not something where you're sitting there. Not something where it's going to hurt your SEO.
It probably
When
is
it
on
starts-
mobile.
Well, but when it starts hurting your SEO, when you're getting 4, 5,
Yeah.
6 second load times, what
Yeah.
this almost always is you've created the entire website in Flutter, and what's happening is your entire project is being downloaded before it renders the first frame.
Right. And there are tricks to solve that.
Yeah, if
late
you've
loading and
got
stuff.
if you've got 6 or 7 different pages,
Yeah.
all of that stuff is getting downloaded and completes the download before it shows you page 1. So when you run an SEO analyzer and it's checking your load time, it thinks that's how long it takes just to render one page. So your score is going to be terrible. So what you've got to do at this point, look into deferred imports. That's going to make a massive difference. Load as little as possible with that first page. Just try to, and when I say as little as possible, I mean, don't load in the second page, the third page. Don't make the first page like 16 screens long. Keep it as simple as you can. Animations and all are usually fine. That's not a big deal. But assets can take a little bit to load, but that's also the same on regular web as well. But the point being, you don't want to be loading multiple routes, which is you don't want to be loading multiple pages, multiple screens. And in truth, you want to use Flutter Web for web apps. You don't want to use it for websites.
Yeah.
It was never intended for websites. People keep coming up, how do I do SEO in Flutter? Well, step 1, don't make the entire website in Flutter.
Yeah.
So
it's perfectly reasonable to have an iframe as part of your website and have
do it all the time.
Have a Flutter app in like one corner of your website and then have the rest be statically delivered. That's an easy way to do that. Hey, Scott, it's getting to be that time already.
Oh dear, yes, it is 40 minutes after the hour.
And we got to start cutting people off. I'll give you 1 more minute to get your question in, and then I've got to cut you off, and I'll announce that in the chat.
We've got
cutting you off, so we got 1 more minute for questions.
What have we got here? We have.
Let's start taking them.
Oh yeah, we're actually over.
I know we are
quite seriously over.
Push it. Let's just push it.
So we have
answer fast.
More questions than we can do.
Yep.
Where's my banner?
I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's change to.
We keep changing. Let me get to the right banners. So this is what happens when Simon keeps driving. He makes a mess of everything.
Let's hide the current comment. That's a good start. There we go. Yes. All right. Okay. Oh, there is a banner for that. That's nice. Okay. Let's take another question. Come on.
All right.
Maybe Ariel can answer it for us this time. We can take a break.
I was going to mention something because when we were looking for information about roadmap and all of that, our software work, it takes us to GitHub and whatever places. If you go to flutter.dev and you look for web, it says roadmap. We need to keep it simple, people. Let's try to not go that way. I know we could find it. We are good. GitHub is our home and all of it, but this was on the flutter.dev and it says roadmap in there. Follow the roadmap. I just want to add that. Right. Can we move to any question? I mean, I'm not the best on web, but what I can say related to the question before, this is going to happen even with your app. Yeah, at the beginning, you load a huge first screen, it will happen. So
I have more time working on Flutter Web than I wish. I wish I had less. Put it that way. All right. This question right here, the best way to create a very specific circular type of list view thing, I would go looking for a package. That's like that's an entire coding session in and of itself. And it's way too specific and involved for us to be able to just sit here and answer in theory. But it reminds me of a carousel.
Yeah, this means like a circle, like items like this or items going like this.
Right. I mean, there could be now there are things like I can't remember the name of it now. There are things that look like a wheel, like a prize wheel that would spin, and you can be horizontal.
Or like
there are lots of carousels. I mean, all of these things are packages. I would definitely spend a lot of time on pub.dev. But yeah, that's.
And please review performance. Don't shoot the first one because it has more stars or likes or whatever. Review the code. Be sure they're using the right
stars. Mean nothing.
Right.
All right, because here's what happens. Okay, somebody sees something that's super. Oh, it has all these stars. Great, I'll use it. Well, you use it. You've been using it for 2 weeks, and you decide, you know what? It doesn't really do what I need. This other thing is better. So then they move on. Do you go back and take your star back?
No. Stars are unlimited.
Nobody
give
does.
them away freely. Yes.
So, and then there have been some questions in years ago
Next, Scott.
about the basically it is possible to use the API to make your star count go ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Anyway,
puppets and stuff. All right.
Question about AutomaticKeepAlive mixin. Works in relation to render object was pushed today. I don't know where your other question was. Did I miss something?
No. This is just a standalone question. This is his question. On presuming it's him.
How the AutomaticKeepAlive mixin works in relation to a render object.
Apparently there was a Flutter change. Or how?
It is a new widget, like widget of the week or something like that. He's talking about.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that yet.
I know because I don't know what he meant with was pushed today. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
If it's on widget of the week, it's been around for a while. I mean, those don't get decided the moment they ship. Yeah. All right. I don't know.
Okay. Simon said he was going to talk about something today. Okay. I'm not sure. I don't know that it would be nice. Asked it on the last episode. So I wasn't here, unfortunately, for that one. I was a bit under the weather.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry. Next week.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Simon back in, but I don't see that coming.
No.
Okay. Flutter with Wear OS. Yes. In fact, I'm waiting to get my Pixel Watch right now.
Right.
So, yep.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Also, if you're not familiar, I believe they're on Tizen 4, Samsung, and Samsung has now upgraded Tizen so that you can write Flutter apps for it too.
Yeah, it was announced on I/O, right?
I can't remember where I heard that. I think it was before I/O that I heard it.
I/O?
Yeah, but if you look up Samsung Tizen, Samsung, I believe it is the one driving that repo. There is a repo involving that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. We want to delete data from Firebase's Firestore when the user kills the app. Where to put the deletion code? Well,
no.
Yeah, when you're talking about killing the app,
that's pretty immediate, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think. Really, the place to try to attach that, I believe, would be in the Android lifecycle, but you could.
This is still a difficult question. If you want to make sure data is gone out of Firebase, you probably need to put timestamps with things, and if they're not being refreshed, the stuff starts timing out. Maybe you have a cloud function that goes through on a regular basis and preens everything that's from dead users and stuff. So
yeah, either that or I'm not even sure an on-dispose would work for something like this because I was using on-dispose for some video stuff, and it was very strange because on-dispose wasn't being called at the right time.
You really don't get much time to run when you're being backgrounded. You don't get much time to run because the OS doesn't want you hanging out in the background doing things, burning up the battery. So neither Android nor iOS allow that. It's really you're on your way out.
You might want to do it in a double way. One, you might want to give the user a way to exit your app gracefully.
Right.
In which case you send your own call to Firebase, but don't count on them using it.
Yeah.
And Android might turn around and say that your app hasn't been brought to the foreground in too long and it needs those resources, so it'll force kill. You got to watch out for that. So really, I think Randall might be right that the solution might be to do it server side. What do you think?
I'm having issues to get the idea behind it, why you will need to kill all data when the user kills the app. So if you set like a database that is going to be happening only when the app is up and running, why you need something in Firebase? It's just spending money with, I don't know, the use case. I maybe I need to know more.
Yeah.
But I will go in a direction like in local storage, and you don't have to pay anything, and you can kill everything you want.
Right.
So because right now what I'm thinking is, okay, you're gonna be paying Firebase to create and remove information. I mean, you can actually say, okay, it's a new session, kill everything and loads, right? That you can do at the beginning and just add an animation, whatever. But like killing everything that you just paid to upload, I don't know. I have been in way too many calls for business, and
just another thing. I'm wondering if it was a privacy thing where you don't want people accessing it if you're not in the app. That almost sounds like a use case for @sign. Really, you might want to check into @sign, ATSIGN.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's move on. We got a few
Best
more.
practice to separate Android and iOS apps when we want to use Cupertino widget for iOS and Material for Android. Something simple to switch from Material to Cupertino.
There is a package called Platform Widgets, which will automatically select the least common denominator, unfortunately, and I'll get to that point in a minute, between two sets of widgets, one for Cupertino, one for Material. Now, here's the problem with any package that does this. The only API they can have on these widgets is the stuff that is supported in common on both of them. And that's the problem with designing stuff to this kind of an aspect. But you can do it. It's Platform Widgets, I believe. I think it just got found and it's just pasted.
Yep.
Yeah, Flutter Platform Widgets. Take a look at that. They've got like about 25 different common things that both iOS and Android can do well, or that the native OSs do well, that are emulated well by the Cupertino widgets and the Material widgets. And it selects which one under the hood is actually being used. But again, least common denominator. And this is the problem with stuff you do that's cross-platform always. And Flutter has solved that by basically being its own platform all the way down. And that's the gain we win for that.
Right. And another thing you can do, it's a little complex, but what you could do is you create your content as variables.
Right.
And then you have checks to see which platform you're using. And then it goes to a tree. Okay, the tree basically splits. You have a UI for one and a UI for the other using different widgets, but they draw from the same content. So that's a possibility, not necessarily the best way to do it.
You could also go even further, like with a mono repo, and actually have an entire Android tree and an entire iOS tree.
Yeah, but that's
a
lot of that is what we're trying to get away from.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you really, really, really wanted that, you could do that.
True.
Mono repos are getting better thanks to Milos.
Oh, yes.
And a bunch of people working on stuff like this. Milos, by the way, if you haven't seen Milos yet, you should check it out. I don't pronounce that right. MELOS. Milos. It's
MILOS. But what it does is it helps you. It helps you monitor. I believe it. Yeah, it's MI.
That's an E. I think it's ME. Okay. So you Google it first. Okay.
It helps manage mono repos that have 6, 7, 8. I've seen as many as 15 different sub repos inside of a large Milos repo.
So while you're looking for the right way to spell Milos. I think that one of the main concerns that I could have making move this into function is the way you will have const widgets or because you are calling a function, it's always going to be called. So I wouldn't like to go that direction, because if it's a function, you cannot name it const, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean it is an option. It's going to be working. Flutter is smart enough to help you out a little bit because a lot of widgets and all those goals of functions, you will lose everything because you won't be able to call a const. Everything is going to be a function. So I just gonna mention that so you need to know the trade-offs. It is possible, yes. It will be performant. It could. It will depend on how good another code it is. Now, if you need to know, remember you said the same phone will not change or move in between iOS, Android, iOS. So you have always the same one. You can just even trigger a Boolean and say this is an Android. I know what's called Android. You don't have to be thinking each time. You can go in one direction because your phone suddenly one day it won't wake up and be an Android, right? It will be always an iOS and the other way around. So there are decisions that sometimes we take at the end, and it should be taken at the beginning because your phone is always going to be the same brand.
Yeah.
Just want to mention that.
All righty.
Cool.
Can I use Flutter WebView to wrap a web app? Actually, you should be writing the web app in Flutter. It shouldn't be wrapping the web app. It should be the web app. One thing to understand is when you're writing something in Flutter for web, it's going to compile to JavaScript. All right, that's what's going on. It's going to compile to JavaScript. If you've already got a web app written in something else, put it in an HTML page or something like that. There's no reason to have Flutter wrapping it.
However,
that's one of the things that we keep. Well, but the thing, I look at this and what I see is somebody wants to write a website in Flutter and then put a web app in it from something else. And the first flag I'm waving is you don't build websites in Flutter.
You're also going to run into the issue with both of the stores having similar terms where they say you're not just going to take a website and put a wrapper around it, a thin wrap around it, and call it an app. We do not permit those.
Yeah.
It has to add functionality that a mobile user gets something distinct and interesting that's mobile-ish. It has to have that.
You can't just wrap a web page in a pretty package and then call it your app.
Right. So both stores have that rule. Yeah. So don't do that.
All right. Which framework is suitable for live data, like for a stocks trading app?
Flutter.
I really don't.
Flutter. Flutter.
Yeah. I mean, we answer questions about Flutter. Flutter is a framework.
It's suitable. It really is.
The thing is, Flutter's a UI toolkit. Okay, we display things. We make them look pretty. Now, Dart does a tremendous amount of stuff on the back end. But if you're worried about, like for a stocks trading app, the first thing I would be worried about is the back end.
Yeah.
The information.
How are you getting the data?
That's, you're not even in Flutter anymore. Now, you can do it in Dart, which is a language. And you can do a lot of that back end in Dart with Dart servers and all kinds of other things. And you can drop them into containers. You can put it in a bucket on GCP. You can get a Docker container. You can use AWS. But Flutter itself is displaying the visuals for whatever that data represents.
I will say
it's a little out of our wheelhouse.
I've had a couple of clients that are related to high performance retail or trading, and Flutter is perfectly suited for stuff like that. You can build really rich displays that update in real time based on WebSockets that are delivering your information instantaneously or as close as you can get to network speed anyway. In fact, I actually have a theory that I want to do some demo applications that are nice moving graphs based on WebSockets, based on trading of stuff. But that's in my copious spare time. I think I'm not sleeping between 2 and 4 a.m., so maybe I could use that time. But no, I want to build some more stuff like that. So fintech is pretty big, even with Flutter. Yeah. So yes.
All righty.
Next.
How to achieve push and remove until in GoRouter 5. I haven't seen Go Router since they just went to 4. Chris Sells is the gentleman behind Go Router, and he is moving at a crazy fast speed with Go Router. Now, Chris would usually have his big recommendation is to use Go instead of push.
Yes.
But personally, I have not delved that deeply into it. This type of a question, I would almost certainly reach out to Chris. You'd be good to go on Twitter and reach out to C Cells. He is the gentleman who's behind it. This is his baby. And if anyone would be able to answer a question with this kind of detail, it would absolutely be Chris.
I'd also look at issues related to that in GitHub. This is all in GitHub. And it's now part of the Flutter packages repo. So doesn't have its separate GitHub like it used to when Chris was managing it. Because the Flutter team has actually taken this over.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on here. How to send different commands and receive respective events on SOAP. How should I keep checking hub connection live, or keep checking if the hub connection is live or not? And okay. In other words, you want to know if the connection drops and then force an automatic reconnect.
SOAP, I don't think is streaming. It might be, but I think it's call response always.
Oh wow! So if it's polling,
yeah, so you're just going to be polling anyway.
Wait a minute. If it's polling, is that back when they were programming with smoke signals?
Oh, SOAP is all about XML and a bunch of other crappy things. I tell you, if SOAP is the answer, you asked the wrong question. That's what this means. That's what this means.
I haven't heard about SOAP in years, so
yeah.
Oh, and SOAP RPC, even greater, even more layers of interpretation. I once had a client where they were passing stuff embedded in SOAP, and they already had encoded their XML data. So it was double encoded in XML. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is possible to be really stupid with
but yeah,
and this was the way.
Just because of the age and because it's polling, you might want to check into a different solution.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're trying to achieve.
I could be wrong. SOAP could have a stream connection, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think
now, of course, there is a chance that I don't want to be, that idiot on Stack Overflow that says, well, just don't use the thing you're using, use something else. No, I hate those people.
We can be those idiots. I'll be that idiot.
But I mean, with something like SOAP, if it is practical, to try to look at something else, you probably should. However, there may be entirely too much invested in this, and it could end up, if this is all wrapped around SOAP already, this could be a 6 to 9 month, slog trying to port it to something else, in which case you just want to try to solve the question at hand. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar enough with SOAP, and these guys, I'm not sure. So
okay, let's keep going.
Anyway, we've only got a few left. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We're good.
Okay, I'm freaking out a little.
Firebase allows you to delete all the fields, but it doesn't allow you to add fields to all documents in the GUI. Well, they consider adding it to don't have to create the on-tap cloud function.
That's a question for Google.
Yeah, that's a question for the Firebase
are not
team.
Google. We are not Google.
I think it was a question in there. I mean,
well, no, Firebase allows you to. There is. Firebase allows you to delete all the fields, but it doesn't allow you to add a field to all documents in the web GUI of Firebase.
What value would it have to add a field?
Maybe they want to add a field to a bunch of different documents in one shot instead of having to do it individually. That's fine, but we're not Google employees. We are community people for Flutter.
Yeah.
Not for
Don't
Firebase.
be lazy. Write code. Don't be lazy.
Wait a minute. What happened to do not repeat yourself?
I did repeat myself just now. Write code. Go ahead. Next.
Speaking of dry, okay, is it considered a good practice in terms of performance to gather all the imports in one single file that you import everywhere? Now, here, I got this.
Performance.
Hang on.
Okay. Compiler performance.
Is it good for your performance?
Yeah.
Yes. Does it mean anything to your app performance? Absolutely not. But I can tell you from experience, if you are trying to manage 10, 12, 15, 25 imports in each file, you have 12 in one, 20 in another, 6 in this one, it'll drive you nuts.
Yes.
Just make one file like you're talking about with exports. Import that one file everywhere.
Yep.
Okay. The tree shaking compiler is going to kick out anything you don't use anyway. It's fine. Right. And then if you have to go tweaking your imports around here or there and everywhere, just do it in your one file with the export. And
in the chat, they're talking about barrel files, and I agree. That's there are barrel file tools for VS Code, and I think there's also similar things for
and another. But here's the thing where
stuff.
Milos comes in and stuff like that. You can make, and we have done this. We do this in production apps all the time. You make a common repo inside the mono repo with all the things that are common to Android, iOS, web, Windows, Mac, Linux, you know, Raspberry Pi, whatever.
Yeah.
Because your Firebase login is going to be the same regardless of your platform. So you put it in under common. And then in common, there's one file specifically that contains all of these exports. So all you have to do then is you import common/common.dart.
Yep.
Boom, done. And you can use that in all the other repos.
Next.
So we actually do this.
Next.
Yes, we only have a couple minutes left. Can web using Flutter support service workers? Take it away, guys.
I don't know.
I haven't used that much Flutter Web, so I'm not sure.
Right.
Review Flutter supports. I can take it as homework. I can do that, but I don't have an answer right now.
This is Simon. Answer the question, Simon, and he's not here. So too bad.
Another quick thing, harkening back to SOAP.
SOAP, yes.
Okay. Sorry, and I mean, if you're really stuck with SOAP, please don't be offended. There are times when you just don't get a choice.
Sad.
Nash. There's a perfect example. When Nash was working for the government of Trinidad, he was in charge of a project, and they needed the back end people to change something in order to come into the 21st century, because they were still, they were still working with torture racks and thumb screws or something. It was really old. And the problem was there was so much wrapped up in it. And there are plenty of places in the United States government, in many states, they're all using COBOL.
Yeah.
Perfect example. The Driver's License Bureau and Identification Bureau in New Jersey. They contracted with IBM to change their entire system from COBOL over to something newer. Well, after 6 or 9 months, IBM turned around and gave them their money back.
Yeah.
Said it couldn't be done, not automated. The problem with something like that, with COBOL in particular, is the fields were never typed.
Yeah.
So telephone numbers were put into notes, and there were words in where numbers belonged, and people put addresses in the notes instead of in the address field. So you need a human to read each record and correct each one. It's impossible to automate. So if you're really stuck with SOAP, you might be in that kind of a situation. I'm not making fun of you.
We do, but we understand, right? I have been there in Mexico. We have big companies, one of the biggest companies across the whole country, and they use COBOL. Actually, it's the build or 85. That's older than me. I can say that, right? Now the version they have used is older than me. It's like 85.
We lost out of hell. You know.
No, I didn't.
So
You're making us feel old, man.
So no, I mean, I'm saying that it had to work a little bit in there, but there are just data. There are files with data, and they read the records, and that's a manual task for COBOL. And so
I want to say in the last couple of years, I've had the pleasure of working in healthcare and financial, and both of those industries were so entrenched in whatever technology they adopted in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And pulling them forward tooth and nail to do better things and more interesting. But those two industries, man, I tell you, the jobs are amazing. They're all out there, except they're jobs that
no one wants. If you know COBOL, you will never, ever not have. You can have 3 jobs, 4 jobs, but nobody wants to work in COBOL.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
Anyway,
we beat this to death.
Basically, here's the thing: if you're ever stuck in a situation like that, explain to people the meaning of the phrase "technical debt."
Yes.
And then point out your company has been piling up technical debt for 30 years. Okay. And guess what? The bill is now due. You have to pay it.
Yes, you're already paying interest. Yes.
Anyway.
I have to go.
Yeah.
I have another.
Okay, well, we got 2 questions.
Okay.
I solo dos.
Okay.
Okay, how to dispose of a provider when we use provider package. Why would you need to? I mean, honestly, I've never.
I don't know enough about provider to know why this is any more difficult than, say, RiverPod's ref refresh and ref and that stuff. So I don't know.
It's not. Hashan, I'm not sure you need to.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know, when the app closes, it'll take care of it. But other than that, I'm not sure there's an actual need. Normally, when we're worried about.
Yeah. I think he's talking about the equivalent of auto dispose in RiverPod. I don't know if there's the same feature in provider.
I was thinking that I moved from provider to RiverPod, and I'm using Q.Is and all of them right now. And they have one of those, but I don't know if provider has.
I don't know. Well, the thing is, too, Remy created RiverPod because there were things provider could not do.
Yeah. Frank
this might be part of it.
Yeah, Frank is saying in there, provider auto dispose when that widget is removed. That's why you cannot find it. If you say find your ancestor, that's actually being disposed when you are not using it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
and
we demonstrated the limits of our knowledge. Yes, let's go.
Here's an interesting one that we have actually talked about several times already.
Oh no.
How do you make Flutter Web SEO friendly? Step 1. Don't make your website in Flutter Web.
Yes.
Make your web app in Flutter Web. Put it in your web page, and then make your web page SEO friendly.
Yes.
So, and actually, a Flutter web app, it compiles to JavaScript. The SEO engines are going to look at your text. They're also going to look at your semantics text. So make sure that you use your semantics labels.
Yes.
But really, the honest answer, don't use Flutter for a website. Flutter is for web apps. From the very first day, they've been showing web apps, but no one actually jumped up and said, don't use it for websites. We're doing that now. Okay. We do not work for Google. They just send us cool shirts, but
I do have a proof of concept that I never developed fully to productize it and get it into the pub, but based on the router changes that you have in your web app would force a distinct meta block in your web page, which the crawlers will notice and do things with. I have a proof of concept. It's lovely, but I don't know that it's actually going to make that much difference, but it does work. And someday I'm going to productize it and actually get it in the pub.
Okay. One other thing, Verde has put this up here. A raw provider has a dispose field. That might prove helpful.
There you go.
And one other thing, James wants SEO. I have got a guy who's been spamming me, okay, for his SEO company because I ended up registering one time for a place I worked at a long time ago. So I'll tell you what, James, I'm going to give him your email address. He'll hook you right up.
Yep.
All right. That said, sorry guys. Some of the deeper technical stuff, again, that's why we get Simon. A lot of times you have to remember, I mean this in a good way, but Simon is just not normal.
It's nice that Simon lets us be on his show as well. That's the important thing to keep in mind.
We're just for fun.
We're the color commentary and the button pusher for the questions.
We should have this guy, Noah, come on. Noah is a mutual friend of mine and Simon's. He worked with Simon 10 years ago in Android.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there trying to understand something Simon was doing. And then Simon had left and we're sitting in Zoom. I'm there with Noah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Noah, it's really crazy because I'll want to do this thing and I'll write this code. And then Simon will turn around and rewrite the whole thing. And I won't even be able to follow my own code. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, how in the world did he even think of this stuff? Maybe, as I learn more, I won't be sitting here thinking, how in the world does he even figure this stuff out? Noah looks at me and he says, man, I'm the leader of the Android team for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. I've been doing this stuff since beta.
Yeah.
Nobody can figure out how Simon does what he does.
Yeah. But I like James' comment.
He crushed my feelings. He said it doesn't get better.
Yeah.
You never figure out what he said.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap.
But yeah. All righty. That is
thanks for stopping by
for the day.
Thanks for stopping by. That's great. Anytime. You're welcome anytime to pop in.
Actually, also, if you want to stand in for me at a hell next week, that's great. We have work being done here at the house. We will have no power.
Okay.
So next week I cannot be here. Telling you right now.
Yes. Okay.
Hopefully, and actually, Simon the week after I will be traveling.
Hopefully, Simon can be here for those 2 weeks because I don't know how to push the buttons yet. I only know how to push the star button. That's it.
But yeah, we will not have power on the next week, and 2 weeks later, I will be coming back from Google headquarters.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I am being summoned, but
yes.
not by the Flutter team, by a completely different team.
Okay.
Right.
Well, someone is someone, so.
All right.
All right.
Everybody. See you
next
week.
Guys, take it easy.
Some of us
Thank you for stepping in, Alahel. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you all later.
Bye.
Out of here.